Happy Camper Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to another edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show, the only place to be when you're ready to talk camping. Camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. It's episode 186. Do you plan on going anywhere near an amusement park this year for your camping destination? You might be surprised. There are a lot of campgrounds located right there at the amusement park. We'll take a look at some of them today. And roller coasters, Daniel, wow, I'll tell you what, you all set to go on a ride?
I am.
Okay, we'll talk about it today. It's Camping and Coasters on this edition of Happy Camper Radio.
HappyCamperRadio.com.
And, of course, you can get in touch with us here at the Happy Camper Radio Show anytime by calling 404-537-2267. That's 404-537-CAMP. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker. Add us to Circles on Google+, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to www.happycamperradio.com, and that's where you'll find all of our social media icons. They're located right there on the homepage. You click on any one of them, connect right up with us, and when you sign up for social media, what do we give them, Daniel?
We give them a shout out.
I knew that was coming. Well, you know what? We have some folks who recently signed up, and we want to go ahead and take a moment to recognize them. First of all, to Sheila Day, Tim and Michelle Davis of Hartselle, Alabama, Mimi Bandola Langer of McKeesport, Pennsylvania. They like us on Facebook. To Lee Davey, Steve Keating, and the folks at Stop and Go International in Crystal Lake, Illinois. They're following us on Twitter this week. Thank you so very much, each and every one of you. We're glad to have you on board, and more importantly, thank you for being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. Would you like to be a guest on the show? Would you like to talk to Daniel and I? Get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, and we'll definitely make that happen. Daniel, I was inspired to do this show because of a recent, I don't want to say recent episode. We're going to go back to the year 2013. I was browsing through some of our previous episodes, and I come across episode 28. Does that ring a bell?
Sorry, you're going to have to refresh my memory a little bit.
You're not getting that old. Trust me, Daniel. When you get up to be my age, then you have a reason to talk, all right? But listen, I come across episode 28 when you and the better half were camping down at the Magic Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I was sitting at a picnic table talking to you.
Okay, right. And you had an old pop-up camper that you don't have anymore.
Yeah, we got upgraded a little bit.
You got something a little bit better, and you haven't taken it out yet, have you?
Well, this weekend we were going to, but it rained all weekend, of course. And then next weekend we're going down to Gulf Shores, and hopefully the weather will work out then. But, you know, we'll be down there for a week.
I might have to give you a microphone to take along with you.
We can do that.
Okay.
We can do that.
We can do it just like you did when you were at the Magic Kingdom.
There you go.
All right. But that episode really inspired me to talk about this show today, because with summer vacation around the corner and the kids are dying to get out of school, most people who are going camping will want to plan a trip that will inspire their kids to have fun. And what better trip than to plan your camping destination at an amusement park? Now, if you want to go ahead and refresh our memory a little bit, Daniel, what it was like when you were camping at the Magic Kingdom, and you were camping right there on property, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you enjoyed a lot of the attractions, and you really didn't have to go that far, did you?
Disney World, for a lot of people that have been there, it's literally a world. I mean, so we were at Fort Wilderness. It's where you can rent cabins and lots to camp on, and there's so many amenities there that you could stay there. Actually, it's funny you say this. Last year, my parents went there, and they just stayed at the campground, and they had more than enough to do there. But we stayed at the campground, and I know you can take a ferry to the Magic Kingdom, and you can take ferries from the Magic Kingdom to other places. You can take the monorail to Epcot, and I think there's another boat ride. But basically, you never have to really get in your car when you're on property, which is really nice. So once you're in the property, it's good to go. And for people who don't know, I'm sure a lot of people know that go to Disney World, if you're on property, on certain days, you get to get into certain parks an hour before everyone else who's out in, the greater Orlando area. So
Isn't that wonderful? Beat
Yeah.
the lines.
there you go.
I remember back in the day, my last trip to the Magic Kingdom, my oldest one, I think she was about 5 or 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed down there for an entire week. We weren't camping. Now, don't tell anybody this. All right, but we stayed there, and Daniel, after day number 5, you thought I was wore out as a parent. You should have seen my kid.
Really?
We had to actually carry her from the car to the hotel room. Her head was backwards. She was doing everything possible to keep her eyes closed. That's how tired she was.
Wow.
So, yeah, you'll get a workout, and parents, it might be a blessing in disguise for you if you want to take your kids somewhere to enjoy the amusement park, and not necessarily, should I say, the Magic Kingdom. There are many amusement parks out there. We're going to talk about some of them today on the program. But I can recall, and I'm going back in the early days now, Daniel, many, many years ago, one of my favorite amusement parks that we went to with my grandparents. And folks, I'll tell you what, I had the best set of grandparents any kid could ever have. We had 5 of us. I was the oldest of 5. My grandparents every year would rent one of these little Scotty trailers. And you know what a Scotty trailer is, Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay,
I have no idea.
I'll give you an idea. It's a step up from a teardrop.
Okay.
Now, you imagine 2 grandparents and 5 kids in one of these. We made it happen
Interesting.
every year, and we always went somewhere different. It was wonderful. We had a good time, and we always looked forward to our camping trip, no matter where it was. But Daniel, one of the camping destinations we went to, and I will never forget this, it was Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. And
Okay.
I can still remember, I can visualize this, Daniel. Now, we did not camp anywhere close to the park. We had to drive. That much I do remember. But we went to the amusement park probably 3 or 4 days out of that trip. And I can remember, I can still visualize one of the nighttime views when we went to our car after spending a whole day at the park. And I turned around and I looked, and I saw everything lit up. The roller coasters, the Ferris wheels, everything. And it still is visual in my mind. It's amazing what kind of fun you can have by going camping somewhere close by or even at an amusement park. Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, Daniel, it's a wonderful place to visit. In fact, I'm looking here on the web right now at a website called rvshare.com, and they have listed here some of the rates, exactly what they have. They have a total of 283 RV sites with full hookups, 30 to 50 amps. Back in, pull through. They have both of those, pool and a hot tub, showers. And yes, pets are allowed. So you can take your puppy dog with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're going to end up babysitting your cats no matter where you end up going.
Yep.
You know, that's just one example. They've got Wi-Fi. We didn't have Wi-Fi back in those days, Danny. We didn't even have pagers. Yeah, you carried a roll of coins. You were married to Ma Bell. You looked for a phone booth and hoped somebody wasn't in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember the time the rate went up from a dime a phone call to a quarter a phone call. And that was just for a local call.
Yeah.
That's way, way back in the days. But, you know, today there are so many amenities at so many of these amusement parks, and you'll have a blast no matter where you choose to go.
It looks like it's called Lighthouse Point. It's right near there, and seems like it's close enough to walk there. So I think they've done some improvements. And I know that Cedar Point is like one of the oldest parks in the country. So I think that's kind of where it all started.
Yeah, and they say here a whopping 16 of these rides are roller coasters. Now, you strike me as a roller coaster kind of guy, Daniel.
Sure, yeah. I'll do
Me,
it.
on the other hand, I love roller coasters.
Uh-huh.
I remember riding them as a kid. I think I would lose my lunch today if I got on one. I'm just
I don't
way
know.
up there, Dave. I just can't take the twists and turns and these modern roller coasters that they're coming out with.
Yeah.
I rode the old wooden roller coasters back in those days.
Those are bumpy.
They're a little bit bumpy, but I
They're very
can
bumpy.
remember they were just absolutely wonderful to ride. And we didn't have the long lines back in those days like we do today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just the popularity of amusement parks or what the case may be.
Well, I know it's getting a lot better at Disney World. I know they have fast passes and stuff, and you reserve your times. And I know in other parks, most of the time you can pay a little bit extra to, go ahead of the line. But I mean, as far as amusement parks, Disney's got it down pat because you don't have to pay. You reserve your spot and you get to go where you want to go and you don't have to wait forever. But another thing, you were talking about Cedar Point. When I was a kid back in 87, we were camping in the Great Smoky Mountains near Sevierville and Pigeon Forge, and we went to Dollywood.
I was just about to say, did you visit Dollywood?
I did.
Oh, my.
I haven't been there in a while. I'd want to go back.
I went to Gatlinburg with the wife and the kids many years ago, and we traveled that stretch of road that runs between, is it Cherokee, North Carolina? Yeah, Cherokee, North Carolina, and Gatlinburg.
Okay.
And I think it's like about 30-some miles, and there's nothing in between.
Yeah.
And they advise you to gas up before you leave.
I think it crosses over the Appalachian Trail, too. At the top there, they have a little lookout point, and I think it's right before Klingman's Dome. I think there's a little parking lot, and I think there's a monument to the Appalachian Trail, and you can park there, have lunch before you go down into Gatlinburg, down the hill there.
Now, we didn't go to Dollywood while we were there. We visited a number of attractions. But I remember that I had a great time while I was up there. And didn't that area get hit by a fire here a couple of years ago?
It did.
Oh, my heavens. I hope it's growing and regrowing.
I'm sure it is.
But it's a wonderful destination, and I know they've got a lot of attractions up there. So, and I'm sure a lot of campgrounds.
Oh, definitely.
So you definitely want to keep that in mind as a possibility. Also, Daniel, as a kid, and parents, you're probably going to reflect back on what we're talking about here. When we talk about taking kids to an amusement park, we're probably going to be thinking about what it was like for us growing up and some of those camping destinations and some of those amusement parks that you went to. And you could sit down with your kids just like we're doing today and have a wonderful conversation with them and relive some of those old-time memories. Another place, Daniel, that I remember going to as a kid, and we've talked about this on the show one time before, Conneaut Lake Park in northwestern Pennsylvania. That is a very old amusement park, and not long ago I went online and looked it up, and sure enough, they're still in business.
Cool.
They've got the Blue Streak roller coaster. I remember riding that. And if I ever get up that way again, believe me, I'm going to spend a day, maybe 3 or 4 days at Conneaut Lake Park, just reliving my childhood days.
Well, I know, speaking of Pennsylvania, one time when I was really little, we went up to Hershey, and we did all the stuff at Hershey. I don't remember that much, but I know we were camping up there, and we did the whole Hershey thing in the factory or whatever, and I think we went to the Amish country, and I got to drive a wagon for a little while.
Now, Hershey
so
Park, I think Hershey Park, they have an amusement park out there, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful place. I've never been there before, but you can go right to their website and see exactly what they have to offer. You'll see right there on the homepage, I've got it here, Hershey Park, a big, wonderful roller coaster, and I look at somebody right there in the front row, somebody about my age.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're probably having a wonderful time there, and I'm sure you can too. So, you might want to keep Hershey Park in mind as a possibility. But, again, if you ever get up to northwestern Pennsylvania, check out an old amusement park up there, Conneaut Lake Park. And if you're looking for a great camping destination, look up our friends at the Meadville KOA Campground. We talk with them every now and then. Wonderful people, and I think they're only about 4 miles away. So when you get in there, let them know that Skip and Daniel sent you.
There you go.
And so I'm thinking, some of the wonderful places that I have been over the years. I can remember back in however long it was in Ohio, we had SeaWorld up in Ohio. I don't know if they're still there or not.
I don't know.
Okay.
I know there's one in, I think, San Antonio and Orlando. And I think there's one out in San Diego, too.
Is there one in Florida as well?
Yeah, Orlando.
Down in Orlando?
Orlando, San Antonio, and San Diego.
I faintly remember visiting the one in Orlando, Florida at one time. And I think that was back when I had my young daughter down here. We spent a little bit of time at Disney World, and we also spent some time over at SeaWorld. And we bought our tickets way in advance, so we had those tickets, and they don't expire. At least the ones at Disney World. I don't know if they've changed that policy or not, but I can remember we had a set of tickets, so we had them in the refrigerator. That was our safe, just in case anything caught fire back in the days.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got a safe nowadays that will protect anything, but we needed a safe place to keep our tickets so that we knew we're not going to expire and we could use them at any time.
Well, speaking of Disney, for our friends on the West Coast, they also have a resort, the Anaheim Resort RV Park, which is near Disneyland and California Adventures. So if you're out west that way, that's always an option if you wanted to maybe see Disneyland and not stay in a hotel or whatever. And still, I mean, it's not that great of a campground. I think it's just kind of like a parking lot. I'm not really into that kind of a camp thing, but hey, if you want to do it cheap, I think that would be a good option too.
Sure. So, and how many roller coasters they have there?
Let's see. California Adventure. I know they have a water ride. It's been a while since I've been there. They have one old time roller coaster, but they have a lot of the little rides. I know they have Toy Story Mania, and I know actually in the past few years, I know people are probably yelling at their podcast right now, saying what's different, but there's a lot more at Disney World and California Adventures that they've updated because it's been almost, 8 or 9 years since I've been there. I know they've done a big update on both Disneyland and Disney World. So I would say probably at least 10 roller coasters, I would say. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's like kiddie rides, so I can't really tell. Unless you go upside down, I don't really consider a roller coaster.
Well, so. I don't know about you, but when I think of amusement parks, the first thing that comes to my mind is roller coasters. Mm-hmm. How many do they have? How fast are they? How many twists and turns? And that's the whole highlight to me of an amusement park.
My thing every time we used to go to Six Flags out here in Georgia, or I've been to a couple Six Flags, I always had a mission in my mind. We have to ride every roller coaster at least once. Like, I don't know. It was like, I don't know. I couldn't enjoy myself until that was completed. It was like unlocking a mission or something. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun going to amusement parks and, experiencing different things. And I'm one of the weird people that like the shows. We have a place out here called the Crystal Pistol. And they'd have these really goofy shows. We'd go out there with friends during the Halloween. It was called Fright Nights, and we'd watch all these goofy shows, and all these people would be dressed up in Halloween gear, and it was a lot of fun.
I'm telling you, you can have so much fun at a lot of these amusement parks. Speaking of down in Florida, Daniel, Busch Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been there?
I have in Tampa. We went a few years ago.
Okay.
That was we didn't camp at that time. We did vacation rentals, but that was a lot of fun. I'm not sure if there's any campgrounds near there, but it'd be. I might have actually, when I was a little kid. I don't even remember it. I know my parents went down there. Well, they told me and they showed me pictures. But yeah, Busch Gardens is a lot of fun. They have a lot of roller coasters, but it's a lot. It's very educational too because they have a lot of animals around, and you can take kind of a safari tour. And actually, it's funny that I have this lime plant that I know will never grow a lime, but I bought it from one of the stores down there, and it's still...
You bought a plant that will not grow. You actually paid money for that day.
It'll grow. It just won't bear fruit.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of cool that I've kept it alive all these years. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, Daniel, I'm looking right here online as we talk. And the Busch Gardens amusement park down there does have nearby campgrounds. And in fact, there's plenty of them. It really depends upon how far you want to stay away from the park. The closest one is the Tampa RV Park, for example. That's like 6.4 miles away,
mm-hmm.
And then it goes up from there. But there's a lot of camping destinations. And, if you're planning on a road trip to go to one of these vacation sites where there is an amusement park and you've probably spent maybe a day or two on the road, you're probably not going to really mind driving a couple extra miles every day to get to the amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
But, you got to plan ahead and make sure you've got, a reservation in place. You've got your tickets in hand. So, and the only thing that you're really going to have to worry about is not being cursed like I am and have the rain follow you wherever you go.
Yeah, it seems to be a problem lately. Every weekend it rains.
It's terrible. I just hope it comes to an end. I mean, I just now got done cutting grass for the first time this year when I had an opportunity. But
and then this isn't really an amusement park, but this was a water park. Me and my parents, when we went down to Panama City, we stayed right next to a water park down in Panama City. I think it was like Raccoon RV something or other. It was about 20 years ago, but that was a lot of fun, and I love going to water parks too. But sometimes when we go down to Disney World has 2 water parks, and that's always a lot of fun to go to.
yeah, so I mean, the sky's the limit. You know, we're only talking about a few of the campgrounds right here that are close by or at an amusement park. Some of the ones that Daniel and I are familiar with. But there are dozens and dozens of them all across the country, and some of the ones we probably never even heard of before. And they may be very close by to where our listeners are, and they don't have to really travel that far to get to those destinations.
Yep.
But, you know, the idea here is you want to plan ahead and make sure everything is in place before you go. Are you a primitive camper? Are you bringing an RV? Are you bringing a motorhome? Whatever the case may be, even if you're renting one. You know, just make sure you get everything in place, do your planning ahead of time, and get the kids all pumped up. And that's the important thing right there. You want to bring back memories. And today, Daniel, with digital photography and videos, you can't go wrong. Back in my day, you had to get the film developed. You had to buy the film. You had to wait for those pictures to come aboard. And it just took forever.
They might not turn out. We were talking about this
too.
the other day. It was like back when I was a kid, you took all these pictures, and they may turn out. We don't know until we go to, you know, the local Kodak place or the Fox film box in a parking lot and get it developed. But yeah, it's crazy.
And the sad part about it is if they didn't turn out, you still had to pay for them anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the bummer right there. But today, I mean, you look at you got your smartphones, you've got digital cameras. I've got one of those little Sony Cyber Shots that I can take thousands of photographs, you know, and just upload them, email them out, and have all kind of fun with them.
Well, another thing with technology nowadays is when you go to a campground, I know it's for a lot of state parks, you can look at that particular site you want, and you can see pictures of it and like see if it's shaded or if it's near a bathroom or if it's near the swimming pool, and you can pick the site, the actual site you want. And that's just mind-blowing, because back in the day, you just came and, you know, whatever they had is what they gave you. So it's very different now.
That's really something. But I know with my kids being grown right now, and of course I'm not blessed to be a grandparent yet. Maybe someday down the road.
Maybe.
I'd have to wait about 5 or 6 years after I become a grandparent to actually say, hey, let me take you to a wonderful amusement park.
Yep.
And we've got some around here, like we say, you know, we got Six Flags.
Yep.
It's very close by.
Whitewater.
And Whitewater, yes. And I'm sure there are some campgrounds close by there too. But that's a dream for me. But, you know, for those of you right now who have youngsters and you're planning a summertime trip, you know, this is definitely something you want to consider. A campground at or close by an amusement park. If you have kids, if they love the roller coaster rides, if they love going out and having a wonderful time, then definitely go ahead and plan for one of those trips. You can't go wrong. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Happy Camper Radio. Happy Camper Radio.
And this week we are going to take you right here to our home state of Georgia, to the Duckett Mill Campground. It's part of Lake Sidney Lanier, run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It is our featured campground of the week. Duckett Mill Campground is located on Lake Lanier with more than 692 miles of shoreline. The lake is well known for its aqua blue water, spectacular scenery, and a variety of recreational activities. Constructed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in the 1950s, Lake Lanier is a multi-purpose lake that provides for flood protection, power production, water supply, navigation, recreation, and fish and wildlife management. Lake Lanier's expansive 38,000 acres touches 5 counties in North Georgia. The lake, surrounded by rolling farmlands, is just 45 minutes from Atlanta. If you're an angler, bring your rod and reel because anglers take great pleasure in the plentiful populations of bass and catfish, while boating enthusiasts enjoy exploring the lake's many bays and secluded coves. Just go online. If you're a rod and reel angler, bring your rod and reel for sure. Just make sure you get your out-of-state fishing license online. Do your research there and don't get caught without a fishing license, okay? Wherever you go, whether it's in Georgia or anywhere else. The campground has 97 sites with water and electric hookups, plus 14 tent-only sites. They have hot showers, laundry facilities, and playgrounds are among the many amenities. You can find a whole list of other amenities right there on their website. We'll have a link to it this week on happycamperradio.com. And as always, if you don't have a recreation.gov account, here's your opportunity to sign up for one. It doesn't cost any money to do that. I have one. Anytime you use a recreation.gov account, it makes your reservation process go so much smoother. When you click on the link, just look for that little gray box in the upper right-hand corner. It says sign in or sign up. Go ahead and click on that and just follow the lead. This is a wonderful campground. It's open all the way through September 15th of 2018 this year. If you happen to be passing through Georgia and you're looking for a wonderful place to go camping, you want to be by the lake, you want to enjoy all those wonderful amenities, consider Duckett Mill Campground in Georgia. It's our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Skip Huber on happycamperradio.com.
And if you have a campground you would like for us to feature on the program, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. Be sure to include a link to the campground website. Well, Daniel, that's about going to wrap up this edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. Coasters and camping, you can't go wrong. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that anytime soon, but Daniel, if I do get on a roller coaster, make sure you stand by and take some pictures, all right?
I will.
Okay. Remember, friends, every pet deserves a loving home. Do exactly like I did. Visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. You can find us online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker. Add us to circles on Google+, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel's a happy camper.
Woo.
Right there on his iPad. And no doubt about it, my friends, hang around with us long enough, we'll make a happy camper out of you. Talk to you again real soon. This is Happy Camper Radio.